Welcome to Dining Room Stories with Domar and Andrea, where we take you behind the scenes of the restaurant business world with stories and conversation that inspire.
Buongiorno ragazzi, welcome to Dining Room Stories and thanks for being here. We have Donatello and Giacomo, part of the ElPiet hospitality group. Really excited to have you here today and let's start. So,
Hello.
you're brothers, right?
We are.
Brothers, born
Last
in...
time I check.
Last
time I checked,
you checked.
yeah.
So, both brothers, right? From Tuscany. Tuscany, for if you know, some of our listeners don't know, is like a beautiful region in Italy, and it's really famous for food. So, what is your story like? We can start from, well, you choose. Who starts?
You go.
Okay.
We are from Florence,
Okay.
not just Tuscany.
Okay, so
from the cradle of the Renaissance.
Is there a difference between, what does it mean?
Florence is in Tuscany, but I mean, we are from Florence.
Okay, great. Sorry. So, all right. So let's go back. So you're from Florence, right?
Which is in Tuscany.
Which is in Italy.
Yes,
Okay,
also yes, in Europe.
Yeah, okay. And so when did you move here to Australia?
Came in 2009.
Okay, together?
No. I came first 23rd of October 2009
Okay.
on a rainy night.
It was rainy.
Yeah.
Melbourne,
but it was
right?
yeah, of course.
Of course.
What else?
No Brisbane.
It wasn't cold, but it was a rainy night. I remember that. And I made friend with this Indian taxi driver.
Okay.
They took me to the hotel that I pre-booked. And it was awesome. I felt welcome straight away.
Yeah.
It was a very different feeling, you know. I didn't know English, so it took me more than an hour to get out of the custom.
Okay.
Because they were asking me questions and I looked like I was trafficking maybe. I don't know.
That's right, yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome.
That's really brave, by the way, coming to a different country without even speaking the language.
It's easier where you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, you just go.
Because you were young in 2009, right?
I was 29.
Well, you still Yeah, but it's good. I think it's the same age. I came to Australia around when I was 29. So that's pretty cool. So you actually decided at one point, I want to move to Australia, and then you came here. And I mean, if you're now really successful and you go your own businesses.
Yeah, I didn't really decide Australia.
Okay.
I knew that I had to leave Italy.
Okay.
And for me, it was important to go somewhere as far as I could. So I started, Googling.
So running away from
Google.
your mom or?
No, from the environment.
From the environment.
Nothing wrong with, I can't pick something specifically wrong that pushed me out, but I knew that I had to go.
Okay.
It was just an internal, I have to go, I have to leave, I need to see, I need to experience. And I didn't have much money. So
Okay.
I've checked where I could go with those money, and I saw that the farthest point from Florence was New Zealand, Auckland.
Okay.
I couldn't afford the ticket, so I started walking back.
Oh, that's so cool.
I could afford Melbourne, and that's why I came to Melbourne.
That's amazing. Is that, I would say the similar story, when immigrants from Italy and Europe were coming with the boats, some of them just stop in Perth, some of them in
must be
Melbourne,
on
some
the
in Sydney. It was
DNA.
random, right?
Must be on the DNA, just a different vessel.
Yeah, I think the same thing is for me. I just tried to find a way that was really far away from home, and Australia actually became home, and especially Melbourne.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you, Giacomo?
I came 5th of October 2011.
Okay.
I arrived.
So a couple of years after your brother.
Yeah, so different story. So for me, it wasn't to run away from anything. I found myself at 23 years old where I looked myself in the mirror and I said, I think we have a lot. Compare with my peers, it looked like I had things that usually 10 or 15 years older people had. So I wanted to understand, it was because I made it happen or was because it was being given to me. So I wanted a new challenge. I felt like a little bit in a cage. So I was managing the family restaurant, right? Fancy car, house, I felt a little bit trapped in that. I felt like Italy was an old man country, so to speak. I I said, okay, what's my next step? You know, I didn't want to end up like in a heartbeat 10 years older and stay in the same position.
Yeah, I understand
So I wanted a new challenge.
that. Yeah.
My first thought was going to America, to New York, because I've been there like on holiday and I felt home. Strangely, I don't know. So I wanted to go there, but my English level was scholastic. So I was on the phone with him one day. He was already in Australia. And he said, why don't you come here? You do like a working holiday visa. It's pretty inexpensive. You stay with me 1 year. You learn the English and you decide what to do. And I said, okay. So that's what happened.
Donatello just started teaching you English, right?
Yeah, no,
That's what happened. In the meantime, you learn. I'm just joking.
bad teacher on that.
Oh, really cool.
So yeah, that's what.
So for you, it was more about the challenge, and then
New challenge,
Yeah, and also like I think I haven't been to New York yet, but like I know that there's a beautiful, like great, like Italian scene there. So that's probably why you felt
the
home, I
biggest.
guess. Yeah, and but also like Melbourne is amazing for like the food scene that we get in here.
Oh yeah.
And I
It was
think
very much different 15 years ago, to be honest.
Yeah.
what was different?
I don't know. Maybe I was new, so it felt like a new experience. Maybe it was a bit enhanced, but it was a different city. It was. I don't want to go into politics, but when I go here, like we were like the 5th or 6th years in a row that Melbourne was classified the best livable city in the world, and everything seemed to work, and the roads were beautiful, and the people were out at night, and the clubs were full. Like it was awesome. Now, like lately, I might have age, I see things differently, but it doesn't seem thriving as it was. Yeah,
Yeah, I
still
understand.
home, but
Yeah.
different.
And do you actually choose to live a little bit like farther out from the city now, right?
Yeah, it wasn't really a choice at the beginning. Now
Okay.
it is. It's
Now
a
it is,
conscious
yeah.
choice. But
So-
when I moved to Ballarat, which is an hour and a half roughly from Melbourne, in regional Victoria, it was for the visa.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why like the whole like Carbone is like adventure started for the visa.
No. So I moved there with a job. They sponsored me. Then after a year and a half, I got my permanent residency in 2013, I think, something like that. After a year and a half, I was there. And at that point, I was ingrained into the local community and everything. And I decided, let's give it a go. Then the opportunity to partnership with a restaurateur arose. And we just opened Carbone. Yeah.
It's amazing. And how's the experience with the local community? How things going with the venue?
Australians are amazing. It is a good bunch of people.
Yeah, I agree.
Are very supportive. It seems like jealousy and envy is not, of course, it's present, but it's not on the front foot like in
Yeah.
Italy. You know what I mean?
But because you're Italian or because your venue is better?
I think because I'm Italian, so they see me like let's help this poor guy that came with a boat. You know what I mean? So that helps. When you are the underdog, always helps, of course.
Yeah. And so in general, I would say that you got two different, I would say, expertise. Like I would say that you're more like a formed as a chef, while like Giacomo a little more as a sommelier. Even now you're both like venue owners, so of course you basically do more things. But you want to tell me a little bit about this story? Why did you choose to actually focus more on the cuisine side or the wine side? I'm curious.
Like hospitality always been in our blood, like DNA type of thing, like in our family. Like everything starts with our father, who used to be an executive chef for the first Italian hotellerie chain, the Jolly Hotel, and he was based in Florence. So like since younger age, like we were exposed to restaurants, to good food. So for me, was more an age where I was like transitioning from high school to university, where obviously during the summer in Italy, you are in a school holiday.
Hi guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode. Remember to subscribe to our channel to get updates and keep enjoying the rest of the episode.
you have 3 months of holiday and you need some money, you start working. So I started working in the family restaurant because at that point, my father moved to his job to open this restaurant with Donatello and another guy. So I was working there, helping. And once Donna moved to Melbourne, I stepped in like as a full-timer. So I dropped out from university and I started working there as a restaurant manager, basically, with no experience before other than waiting to table. So, you know, like, and it's beautiful hospitality because you're experiencing people when they are relaxed and at ease, and you start talking, especially nighttime. You know, in Italy, you go out to eat later than Australia.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
like, I remember we were closing the kitchen. It was at least 11:30, and there was winter, and you had like this different crowd and start talking. Especially when it's quieter night, you start learning the personal story, you know, and
Maybe a glass of wine.
maybe
or,
a glass
you know,
of wine,
just
exactly.
When they relax.
One or two. Absolutely. And, you know, I start talking about wine and I learned that I was really into it. So more to understand how it works, like what's behind.
I mean, the conversation when you're drunk or the quality of the wine?
Definitely when you're drunk helps,
Yeah.
you know, to open up the conversation. So I wanted to see what was out there, and I learned about the Italian Sommelier Association course. So I enrolled, and it was amazing 3 years. So hard because you had to work full-time, and full-time in Italy in a restaurant is at least 60 hours. Like, we were lucky enough that we were closing the restaurant 1 day a week on Sunday. So there was the rest day. You don't have the rostering in Italy, usually on a family restaurant. Like, you have this team and works.
Yeah.
You on, that's it.
Yeah, you just need to work. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, you
Like,
work.
It's a cultural thing, like in Italy. I've been working with my family for a long time too, so I understand that. And basically, how would I say? So you've been working basically together in the same family business, I would say, at least for a period in Italy, and then you moved, in Australia.
Yeah.
How's this like relationship and like keep working like in the family? Challenges, beauty of that.
But wasn't
How's
like
it?
this at the beginning. No, there wasn't harmony. Always been a harmony, but like the restaurant that we opened together, the first restaurant was 2019 with Cosi.
Mm-hmm.
So there are two different stories going parallel, let's say, because you moved to Ballarat 2013. 2013?
2013, yeah.
Yeah. And I met Omar, our business partner, at Caffè Cucina while I was
Ciao,
working there.
Omar. We say hi to you.
Ciao, Omar.
Ciao, Omar.
Wherever
Ciao,
you
bello.
are.
Wherever you are.
So 2013 as well, I met Omar while I was working at Caffè Cucina, and we start becoming friends, going out together. And, you know, like, you start developing this relationship and alongside managing the place, getting the permanent resident through the workplace, we decided there was an opportunity to do something more. Like, the both of us didn't want to just finish there, like working and start changing one restaurant to another to get more money because someone was giving us more tip or more dollar per hour. Like, we want our own place, endless opportunity, you know, we wanted to grow. So we start looking for an opportunity around the area because one of the things that I think makes successful business is to know your terrain. So we knew South Yarra.
Okay.
So we were looking something closer in the area, and we find this opportunity in Cucinetta. And we went ahead and buy this little place. So the good thing was that because it was a little place, 18 seaters inside plus 6 outside, so very small, we could still continue working to our main job. So
Okay.
the boss, our last boss, was happy with that. Actually, wanted to do so. So
So you've been working at the same time in like the new venue that like Cucinetta, but also
because
like a Caffè Cucina.
we bought Cucinetta was under management in a way. So we kept basically all the stuff. I mean, wasn't much stuff as you can think of an 18-seater place. And we didn't want to change everything straight away because it was a well-established business in the area. So we didn't want to shock. So let's say for the first month, we didn't change much, okay?
I think it's great. Like also
we
like,
try
you know,
really hard to not to change
to
everything.
understand, and that's really interesting. Yeah.
So for 7 months, myself, and I think Omar 8 months, I stayed like a month more than me, if what I remember. We stayed in Caffè Cucina.
Okay.
So we bought the place in February.
What year?
2017.
Okay.
But Cucinetta was open in 2013 already.
You rebranded, like
No, we kept the name.
you kept the name. Yeah.
Yeah. We usually, like until now, we always keeping the name. So
But you changed some kind of concept within the venues. For example, like if you can talk about like Cosi, there's the beautiful concept of La Dolce Vita. That like is something that like when you speak with like people around the world, they just love it because it's like Italy for us. We take it for granted, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
I really like about you. So we've been working together like for like almost 2 years. So I understand, and I really like the way that you actually, I don't know, create a concept and just make this concept unique within a venue. That it might have a different name before, but I think that's really interesting. Like also from a business perspective, it's amazing what you've been doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, thank you very much. The story behind Cosi is a bit controversial.
Okay.
Because when we start looking for the next opportunity, Omar and me, Donna had Carbones in Ballarat going since 2015. We had Cucinetta since 2017. And we wanted to do another venue. And that's the venue that all three of us partnered together to take over Cosi. So Cosi was like this old noble on Turak Road that was broke. So it was closing down, needed a lot of love. And when you say love in this industry, it means money injected in for renovation.
And of course, you want to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
because
broke,
you are
because
young.
It's ugly.
Because you are young, yeah. Young
So
and
you
naive.
want to put a bit of love, right? let's put a bit of love in. Yeah.
So let's say
So basically, with Cosi, like the family extended to Omar.
no.
And so, no.
No. We were me and Omar for Cucinetta.
Okay. No, when I say with Cosi, right?
Extended to Donna.
Yeah. So now is now Omar part of the family? No, he's like acquired brother.
Omar
course.
always
Yeah.
been part of the family,
Okay.
but let's say business-wise, we integrated the three of us together. So
Yeah.
Donna came into the scene.
So basically, from Ballarat, you came back. It's like, okay, let's do it. Let's put some love in the venue, and I think Cosi is doing pretty well. I love, as I told you before, the concept of like the Dolce Vita.
But
Yeah,
you
I think
know-
it's really nice, beautiful concept.
The controversial
Yeah, I think
part.
it fits the history and story of Cosi as well. Like as Giacomo was saying, it was towards the end of his useful life when we took over the restaurant, and we didn't have like this immense budget for renovation, and we tried to keep the soul of the place, and it was 23 years old when we bought it.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was one of the first famous Italian establishment in the area and Melbourne scene when it was open. And we started thinking, how do we maintain like the name and we refresh the story
yeah.
without making it modern and kiddish.
So that's why, like, basically from the Dolce Vita now, the concept is moving to a Melbourne institution, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah,
It's
because-
always been well, it was, then it wasn't. And now our job is to, keep the institution going.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because
so
that's the controversial part that I was talking
I
about.
don't know if you saw the new ad, the video ad that we shot a while ago with Chris.
yeah,
Basically starts in black and white. Have you seen that? With an old song. And then
I haven't really like. I'll check it out. But
please check it
cool.
out. It's so cool.
So
in 30 seconds tells you the story that we are trying to recreate from an old black and white, old, fizzly TV to the modern vibe of Cosi today.
Yeah, and I like because, for example, like we're Italian, so in general, like we like a certain way for the table to be apparecchiato. No, like specific, like we want the tovagliolo, the cutleries, everything in a specific place. While Australians, they like more casual, like when it's like too much like kind of Italian French like style, they just I don't know. I don't think different perception. Like, so did you modernize a bit Cosi since the beginning, right? Like it was when you took over the venue was a little bit more. If I mean talking like a little bit darker, or you changed something, right?
Yeah, it's I don't think it's been modernized as such. It's more like we follow the trends without ripping apart the soul of the place. So we believe that the Italian footprint is very much there. We just made it more 2025.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So those long drapings made the place feel a little bit stuck in the 80s kind of feel. So we modernized, the apparecchiatura.
The apparecchiatura, yeah, I know.
We modernized some colors have brightened up a bit, but I believe the Dolce Vita is still there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Dolce Vita in a Melbourne institution restaurant, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you actually create the menu? Like, is it more like you, Giacomo, doing... All right, so let's talk about like the cuisine. How do you create the menu? Like, you based on like customer, like flavor, what they like to taste? Or it's like, what's your style? How do you choose the plates?
So you don't start with the customer, to be honest.
Okay.
You start with the restaurant that you trying to create and run, and the product that you wanna. The product has to match the place. So we couldn't really put tacos. I love tacos, but I couldn't put tacos.
So next
on
venue is gonna be a taco place.
No. There is no me. I like to eat them, not to cook.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to say is we couldn't like we had boundaries. Of what Cosi is. La Dolce Vita, a 90 institution, has to be a classic Italian restaurant. That has to match, how you dress the table, how the picture that you have around. So that dictates, from which cuisine book you're gonna draw the recipe from. And then basically you go with the classics. So sometimes, it might seem a little bit, how can I say this? Classic Italian cuisine, basically, is where we draw our recipe from. Then do we modernize them to make them applicable? Of course.
Yeah.
But that's how you start, I believe. Then the customer will tell you by coming or not returning if they liked it or not, the concept. So far, so good.
I've been eating at Cosi, and I think the food is pretty good. It's like a little bit different from how you probably like cook the plates in Italy. But like, there is a little bit like different taste in here. And what about like the wine, like list and consumption?
It's also the memory are different. Doesn't matter what you cook, it can't taste like your Nonna.
Yeah.
There's some emotional attachment to memories that you can't recreate.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good you are.
Yeah, but also like, the Italian cuisine just kind of changed abroad a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like, because we have,
Italy,
we have regional plates, but in general, when you think about Italian food abroad, it's like pizza and pasta, right? Then there's some variations and stuff, but it's kind of a little bit different.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a business you need to sell. Like,
So would you
I appreciate the small restaurant trying to push the very traditional niche dish, and
So
it's
would
very nice.
would you put tomato sauce in the spaghetti?
No,
No, I'm just joking. But
When
you know
say
what I mean?
tomato
Like, if you go
sauce,
to
you mean
America,
ketchup?
it's like if you go to America, that's
I
what they
wouldn't
do.
go that far.
No, I think that's more of a British thing. Like you probably wouldn't do it.
I mean, we can discuss, but like you had the taste. No. I think what I like about Melbourne is like there's people actually have taste here, so they actually like they choose where they're gonna go, and they have a lot of options. So it's really important to actually provide like a great experience. And as we're discussing with other guests in the past period, because a little bit less money, right? People want to go in a place where they actually have a good experience. They can share the stories on social media, and it's like, what do you think? Like, do you think your venues are pretty cool in Melbourne? People should come because you're the best venues here.
Oh, let me think about that. Yeah, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
Like in 2018, me and Omar went to America to study marketing and psychology, right? So one of the lessons that I still remember very clear was with Tony Robbins. And one of his questions was, which business are you in? So I put hospitality. And the second question really let me think about it, because he said, which business are you really in? Because he already knew that the first answer is what you identify yourself in. But the second question is where you start thinking, really? So we have restaurant, right? So you are in hospitality, but which business are you really in? So you start
what's the
thinking.
answer? Yeah.
What was the answer? It took me a few minutes. And I looked at Omar and I said, we are in the entertainment business.
Really?
Yeah. And especially in Australia. Like, you are far from everything. You can't just take the plane and go to see London for the weekend. You know what I mean? So what people do here, okay, you have theaters, obviously, and all these kind of things, but you go out for dinner.
Yeah.
So you are in entertainment more than actually in Europe, where, I don't know, in Italy, you stay a tavola because it's a cultural thing. And here is more of, let's go out for dinner. Let's go out for dinner.
That's so interesting. Like,
Yeah.
that's a really interesting angle.
Yeah. So you are in the entertainment business. So once you understand that, you start looking other things. So yes, you need to have the food, because at the end of the day, it's a restaurant. So you need to make sure your food is up to the standards where you want to be. But for us, the most important things is service. So that needs to be 10 out of 10. So all the rest is combined to give everything the perfect experience. So for us, it's more about the experience.
Yeah. So how do you craft the perfect experience? Like, because you got different venues. Like, do you have different concepts around the venues, or like there's
Obviously.
some standards, I would say, that you use?
Yeah, like cuisine-wise, you have you're using your suppliers. So you make sure that the taste is consistent and the quality is consistent, because you know the product. Donna can talk more about this. But for me, like the wine, obviously, to give you an example, we have Vaporetto, which is a Venetian bar and eatery. So it's a Venetian flair. So the wines, yes, you're using the same supplier, but you make sure the Venetian part of the restaurant and the background and the history of the restaurant is being respected, and also in the wine list. So you will find more wine that are coming from their area and really tells the story.
Un'ombra si dice come in Veneto, no? Un'ombra, no?
Esatto.
It's like a glass of wine, like a copa.
Yeah.
Sì.
Cicchetto.
Yeah. No, for example, Vaporetto is really interesting, like, because to me it's like really interesting to see that like a Venetian concept. Like, I don't think like we have a Venetian concept in Italy, but it's great that you actually created like a concept here. And do people understand what a
you don't
Vaporetto
need
is?
a concept.
It's not a concept.
No, you don't need a concept in Italy because you have Venice.
Yeah,
So
but
you
Vaporetto
don't
is
need
actually
a concept.
it's
You
actually
just
the
go
boat.
there, you walk around, and
It's actually the boat, right? Vaporetto is
Yeah,
the small
Vaporetto
boat
is
that
the
goes
boat.
around
Yeah.
Venice, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't. We bought the restaurant. It was called already Vaporetto, but we understood probably. I might sound a little bit cocky here, but I think we understood better than who put the name in the first place. Why Vaporetto is so important? Like, there's a lot of islands in Venice, as
Okay.
you would know, and they don't have roads; they have water. So they use this Vaporetto, which is at the very beginning, the boat was a steamboat. So Vaporetto, steamboat. That's the exact translation. But Vaporetto is the analogy of like this boat that takes you to different inlets and islands around Venice. So it's a journey. And for us, Vaporetto is the journey from Melbourne to Venice, basically. And it's, again, like Cosi, for us, it's very important in Vaporetto to make you experience what you would by walking around Venice. So it starts with the famous masks, the colors, the atmosphere, the loudness, the type of music, and of course, the type of food and wine.
Yeah, and it's great. And also, like, you know, the Veneto culture is really interesting. I like it. The specific dialect.
Yeah, lots of swear words.
A lot of swear words.
To our staff. Yeah.
Actually, like, I have a friend from Brazil, and he told me like there's a region that where, you know, Italians immigrated at the beginning of like the 900s, because like we basically immigrated everywhere. We're pretty young, like, because I'm an immigrant too. We are old, but you know, the massive immigration was at the beginning of the century in the 50s, right? And actually, one of these states that I don't remember the name, Veneto is actually an official language there. But it's not an official language in Italy. Anyway, that's like, that's for the Veneti.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Let's keep talking about food. Like, for example, like, so you bought from Firenze, right?
Yes.
Firenze, the typical, like, most typical food, I would say, la Fiorentina, no? So what do you think about the different cuts and different style of like cooking, you know, meat, steaks in Australia compared to Italy?
It can be the same, but it can be very different in a sense that in Italy, not only Italy, but also France, in Europe in general, but mostly Spain, Italy, and France, you have hundreds of different cuts from a cow, let's say, and T-bone is one of them. In this case, from Florence, Fiorentina, which is basically a T-bone, but it's just where you cut it into the eye fillet, and it's very thick. It's at least 1.2 kilos. Here in Australia, mostly you have primal cuts. So you have like a eye fillet, ribeye, T-bone. And then now brisket is a little bit more famous lately because of the barbecue, American barbecue exposure. But all the rest is pretty much minced and diced. It's very hard to find different cuts on the grill in a steakhouse and stuff like that. So culturally different. What customer looks for is different. And also how you cook the meat is different.
Yeah, because like in fries, if you cook it for like more than to that 20 seconds, 15 seconds, there's like it's overcooked. Don't cook it too much. I remember when I tried it there.
That is a bit of the myth, of course. Like it's not 15 seconds, not even enough
15,
to market.
Right?
But it's you basically when you eat if you want to go technical, just to give you
please
an idea. So in Italy, you would have in Florence specifically. If you ask for Fiorentina, they don't ask you how you want it cooked. The waiter knows it, goes. And then like roughly 10, 15 minutes later, you have this chunk of meat, beautifully grilled, crunchy outside.
So good.
But it's only 40, 42 degrees inside. So it's what you call blue. Well, less than blue, because technically blue is 46. So it's basically a tartare, not being chopped yet.
Yeah.
It's a chunk of meat.
But it tastes really good. Like the difference is like
course,
when you get like I don't know, like a steak, and it's like less than medium, right? How do you call it? Like it's like rare, right?
Yeah,
rare or medium rare.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It has to be. I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't really taste good, but the Fiorentina, in my opinion, it tastes good even if it's undercooked. You know what I mean?
But what do you like about it?
I like that it's like really tender, and it's like it tastes good. Like it's just like tender.
But here in Australia or back in Florence?
I think I like the Fiorentina more. And also like there was something I discovered when I went there last time eating in Florence, and they were like, you know, they would call it bistecca. And so bistecca is not actually an Italian name. It came from when the British came in the 800s.
Beef steak.
The beef steak. I didn't know that. So actually the name bistecca is coming from the beef steak. And that's so interesting. Yeah. And so amazing. Talking about like memories. What are
That's where I was going.
You were going there. Please,
that's
please.
why I
Please.
was asking you, do you like it more here or there? The Fiorentina.
I mean, I was born there. What can I say? Like, but the first time I tried Fiorentina was last year. Like, actually, in life, when I went back with my ex-girlfriend there, I was like, oh, let's try the Fiorentina. It was amazing. Yeah, I don't know. Like some people said that like we export the better like cuts from Australia to the other countries, and we keep here the cuts that are not the best. What do you think about that?
It's probably true. Who doesn't? I think when you export something, you want to export the best.
Yeah.
It's very hard to sell something that is shit. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically,
I guess it's part of being in business. But I don't think it's true. I don't think that we got left with the worst part of the meat in Australia because we export only the best and there's nothing left for us. I don't think it's true. Australian meat is great, to be honest.
Yeah.
You just need to cook it differently because the fat level it's higher. So it's very hard to eat a fattier cut of meat cooked so under to Italian standards.
Yeah.
Because the fat is still chunky and squeaky, and you don't want. It's very hard to eat that. Yeah.
So, Giacomo, what kind of wine you would drink with like a steak? Do you have any preference, recommendation? What do you
Be
think?
careful, you're from Florence.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
what
Yeah,
you have to say.
obviously, like if you are in Florence, and going back to the Fiorentina part, like I think you liked it more. Obviously, it can be your taste, but I think one of the reason was because you were in Florence. So you are in Florence, beautiful city. At the end of the day, the syndrome of Stendhal.
Every
because
time I
you
go.
stop
Yeah,
there and the
every
beauty.
time, yeah, I know.
You
So
know,
beautiful.
you have a beefsteak, a glass of nice Chianti, and you are in heaven. But is really that good? That's my question. And I'm from Florence. Like, if you ask me the question, I don't know, and maybe my judgment is a bit biased with that. Like, I think Australian meats are better. Okay? So I couldn't eat that 42 degrees that Donna was talking about anymore. Like, it really tastes alive. It really does. And it's cold.
It jump in your mouth. Right?
Yeah, it's still moving.
Yeah, it's still moving. So, like, I was there like this July, and I took some friends out for dinner, and we went to a place that had like 20,000 review, which is a lot, and I had like
massive.
4.8 on Google. So it means that all the review were like 5-star.
Yeah, correct.
And obviously, being Florence, I knew that 20,000 review weren't given from Florentine people. So I knew it was a place for a tourist, right? But I said, I'm in the hospitality business with multiple restaurants. I want to go and see how it's possible they have 4.8 on Google. Like, we went there and we had the perfect steak. So first of all, we decided on a cut of meat that was from Spain.
And not like Yanina.
No, Cucinina is too lean.
Okay.
I don't like it. If there is no fat, you need to eat it raw, like the Florentine. So that's why it's being cooked that way,
Cool.
because there is no fat. So if you overcook it, like, it's becoming really chewy. And even the Fiorentina, you need to have good muscle in your jaw. Like, you need to like really like biting, because it's a very lean type of meat and it's a bit chewy. So you must have it really raw. So, and I said, okay, we go for this kind of meat is from a Galiziana. So really marble, similar to an Australian cut. But Florentine, 1.4 kilo, and they cook it perfectly. Was rare, but was like hot inside and very crusty outside. So I think that's the perfect steak. Once you can have like two type of feeling, like crusty outside and inside juicy. But in order to get that, you need to have a cut of meat with a little bit of marbling, so a little bit of fat.
Yeah, great. So what wine would you recommend in Australia? Let's say you want to go out to one of your venues, you would like to have a second plate. With me, you can tell me one of the best plates that you recommend. What kind of wine? Like a bottle, like a glass? What would you recommend?
For a steak,
Never
with
a glass.
bit,
Never a glass, but we've been we've been discussing like the people like lately. They instead of buying bottles, they actually try they buy more like glasses like lately? Is it-
Yeah, like the new generation drink much less. Like there is a study that I
drink
was
less.
telling the guys
Okay.
that
Good to
in
know.
Napa Valley they are ripping off all the vines.
Okay.
Like they are making space for cow farming. Because like the last vintage, there are more than 1 billion bottles less sold, and they're just sitting there. So the trend all over the world is to people are drinking less wine, at least.
Okay, interesting.
So they are going on to more of a low alcohol type of things like beers. You can see there are always a small beer. Like even in Australia is a very strong culture, especially Melbourne. There are beer manufacturer everywhere, small brewery. But coming back to the Fiorentina wine,
soda sells all these new things like vodka sells whatever. Like I think the new
The
generation
mixers,
mixes.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Sugar mixers and yeah.
going back to the Florentine wine question, for a cut of meat like that, so you have like a bit of bittering because it's char grilled and the fattiness. So you want something a little bit soft, so high alcohol in a way, so you get the softness, but good acidity and tannin. So probably my suggestion would be a Sangiovese, which gives you the acidity and the tannin, with a blend with a Cabernet for a higher content of alcohol and softness.
beautiful. So, but in general, red wine, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to kill it,
No.
you open a Amarone and that's it.
Ah, yeah.
No, it doesn't really go well with a steak. But
Also,
Yeah, no,
probably
I
a
wouldn't
Shiraz
go,
can
yeah.
work, right?
Say again, sorry.
Shiraz is like a local wine. You wouldn't go for it.
It's not my type of wine, Shiraz. Like there are very good one, but for me, coming from a more traditional sommelier study, Shiraz is one of those wines that we call meditation wine. So very high alcohol, very soft. So you have one glass and talking more than eating with that. If you want to eat that, probably, I don't know, a stufato type of thing would be the best.
So, I'm gonna ask you a question, like both of you, like, what would you say?
I have a question for you too.
Please.
I heard you like salads. Now
Yeah,
we're talking about
we're-
steaks
we-
and meat and everything.
I think
Tell me
salad.
about
I
this
think
green stuff
salad
that you
is
eat.
good for digestion. And I mean, I'm surprised when I
If you are
actually
a
say
cow.
like, you know, like people like eating meat, and then it's like, would you like a bit of salad? No, just it's like, how do you actually digest? That's my question. So I believe that fiber is good for digestion. What about you?
Oh yeah,
I'm not-
fiber is good for the rest.
I don't have medical background, so I'm not too sure
not a
about
doctor
fibers
too,
and
eh?
stuff. But I doubt that a green lettuce is helping you digesting.
Okay.
Like,
So
yeah.
what would you do with the green lettuce instead?
I
I'm
mean,
just
if I
joking.
have animals like sheep, so I feed them.
So let's give the salad to...
Salad is good because you put olive oil and salt and pepper.
He's a carrier for extra virgin olive oil.
You know what I mean? It's yeah. I doubt you will chew on a good Romana by itself. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. It's personal taste. Yeah.
So you wouldn't hit a Romana that way? No,
No,
because that could be
unless-
there's double meaning in that sense. Like a
Unless
Romana
I'm
could be...
in an orchard, that's the only thing to survive. But I wouldn't go to the supermarket and come back with a bag full of Romana. No.
Okay. So it's basically a no salad, like no for salad.
No, I'm not saying no salad. I'm not suggesting that, but I think it doesn't help you digesting. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Please prove me wrong. Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to ask you a question. Like, what would you say? Cominciamo con Donatello. Right? What would you say to your younger self? Like tips or whatever. What would you have done differently?
Ooh.
Eat more salad.
Eat less. Because actually, I spent
Okay.
2 years eating salad and bresaola
Okay.
to lose weight.
Okay.
And then after 2 years, I regained what I've lost in 3 months. And now I know why.
Too much salad.
But
right?
yeah, let's do another podcast another day, and I'll tell you
Okay,
all
because we don't
about
have much
losing
time.
weight, which apparently didn't work. what would I say to a younger me? Well, probably you're gonna be fine. You know, sometimes you doubt yourself and you think that took the wrong turn, and you start, overthinking and be scared and overwhelmed. And it's very easy to lose track. And also, I would say well done, looking backwards. Yeah.
Come when you cook like a steak, well done.
Well done.
Yeah? Good. E tu? Che diresti? What would you say to a younger self? Giacomo?
Look, honestly, I don't have regrets.
So you don't
like so
remember?
far.
I'm just
I don't remember exactly, which is a good thing.
Too much Chianti.
Yeah, that's right.
So probably the only thing that I can think about is don't start too small. Like looking backwards probably is the only thing that I would have done it differently. Would have been not to start with such a small restaurant like Cucinetta. Nothing wrong. Because, the idea back then with no experience in business management, like on your own, was smaller is more manageable. And I ended up being the opposite.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So probably that's my piece of advice for anyone who wants to start, to do not start too small. Because especially the team members, you think like you have less team members, it's easier. It's actually the opposite, because everyone feels indispensable. And if someone calls sick, for example, you always be the one that needs to go and cover. So you ended up in jail with a smaller business. And I can see the difference now that we have bigger restaurant with a bigger team is much more easier. But not because I got better on managing them. Yes, it is the case, but also is because there are more people that can help. The bigger the team, the easier it is on those type of things. You have other headache, but those headache you're gonna always have. You just do not have the headache of a small revenue, small team. So yeah, it's interesting. It's a very luxury thing to have a small business like Cucinetta.
Yeah, like everyone's small business problems, basically. Grazie ragazzi, it's been amazing to have you here. The time flies, as I told you. And grazie to be here at Dining Room Stories. And I'm gonna see you around in Melbourne.
Ciao.
Grazie Andrea.
Grazie a voi.
Ciao, Omar.
Ciao. Ciao, ma dove stai, Omar? Where are you?
Welcome to Dining Room Stories with Omar and Andrea, where we take you behind the scenes of the restaurant business world with stories and conversation that inspire.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the episode. I'm gonna see you in the next one.